Good evening to all my brothers and sisters, all my relatives and comrades out there across the country and across the world. My name is Cooper Caraway. I'm the president of the South Dakota Federation of Labor, AFL-CIO, and I'm proud to join you here from the beautiful Sioux Falls Labor Temple in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, just a little bit south of the Arctic Circle. Tonight's a very important night. Our brothers and sisters in Brookwood, Alabama have been on strike for way too long, way too long. They've been on strike for almost a year, and it takes us to support them. We know the bosses, we know that the hedge funds like BlackRock and the bosses at Warrior Met, they got all the money and all the resources in the world. And so when workers stand up and fight, it's on us, other workers from around the country and around the world, to support them. Tonight, you'll hear from some of those workers, and you'll hear why it's important that you support them. There's going to be a QR code throughout the evening, and you'll see a link. If you scan it with your phone, you'll be able to donate directly to the PayPal. Brothers and sisters, it is 2/22/22, and the mine workers have been on strike too damn long. It's on us to support them. Please welcome our musical guest, our sister, Patty Schaffner.
Hi, I'm Patty Schaffner, and Paul Kachaha asked me if I'd be willing to sing a little song for you, and so I have this tune called You Want It All, and I suppose it's sort of a song to your favorite narcissist. Here we go. You got your sycophants standing by to say it's all right, whatever you try, yeah, and you want it all. You're like a child on any given day. You throw a fit if you don't get your own way. It doesn't matter what anyone might say, 'cause you want it all. It's not as if you don't have enough, but you want everybody else's stuff. If we cry poor, you say, well, that's rough. Yeah, 'cause I got mine and yours and yours and yours, and someday the piper you're gonna have to pay. All your sins up there on display. You'll twist and turn, but you won't get away, 'cause honey, you're gonna get it all. Follow the rules, and those who do, yeah, we're all chumps and fools. But there'll come a day when you'll sing the blues, and we'll all be standing on the side saying, man, that's way past due, 'cause someday the piper you're gonna have to pay. All your sins up there on display. You'll slither and squirm, but you won't get away, 'cause you're gonna get it all. You got it coming to you, yeah. You're gonna get it all. It's way past due, you know, honey. You're gonna get it all. Stay strong.
Thank you, Patty, for that beautiful song. That's right. The bosses in Brookwood, just like the bosses all over, they want it all. They want everything, not just a little bit. Jeff Bezos won't stop with a little bit. Elon Musk won't stop with a little bit. And those damn executives over in BlackRock won't stop at just a little bit. They want it all. They want everything. They want your pensions. They want your decent pay. They want your surplus value. They want everything that they can squeeze from you. That's why it's on the working class to stand together and make sure we're together in this fight. Remember, scan that QR code and drop a couple dollars into the miners' strike fund so they can keep fighting. Remember, an injury to one is an injury to all. I want to take this opportunity to welcome our dear brother, Vice President of United Mine Workers, District 20, Larry Spencer. Larry Spencer has been a courageous fighter for the cause of labor for longer than I've been alive. I turned 31 a few months ago, and our brother Larry has been fighting for much longer than that. And the working class, not just in Alabama, not just in the Southern District of the United Mine Workers, not just in the United States, but the working class all over the world owes people like our brother Larry Spencer a debt of gratitude. So please join me in welcoming our brother, Vice President of the United Mine Workers District 20, Larry Spencer.
Well, thank you for that kind introduction. My name is Larry Spencer. I'm the Vice President of the United Mine Workers in District 20, which is in Alabama. And we've been on strike since April the 1st, 2021. That's 328 days. It's been a long, hard strike. We're negotiating with the company and doing everything we can to try to get these guys a contract, but these men and women are wearing down. Not to say they're giving up, but they're just getting tired and trying to do the best to make sure that they get a contract that they deserve. This company took over back in 2016 and cut their wages and benefits, and through a contract to try to get this company back up and running. And they did that. The people went down in those mines and made the money for the people that are running these companies, and made a lot of money for them. And they're just asking for their fair share back, and to get back to where they was in 2016. They're not even asking for extra. They just want to get back to where they was in 2016 or somewhere close. And we've been on the picket lines and fighting this company, and the judges have turned against us. They've put a restraining order on us that's limited our people on the picket line. And these guys and ladies are really at times they get disheartened, and then they realize that y'all are backing us, and y'all are staying with us. So we need everybody to stay strong, and to just support us through this and help us get through this strike. Hopefully it'll end soon. If not, we'll be here till it does end. So President Ross comes down on a regular basis, and he'll be down again tomorrow. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Good. Right on, brother. You know, I'm seeing solidarity messages coming in from Minnesota, from Seattle, from the United Kingdom, from Europe, from Detroit. How important is it to the folks on the ground there that they receive this kind of support from other workers around the country and around the world?
Well, anytime that they see someone from other parts of the country or from around the world send solidarity messages or stop by our rallies on Wednesday night or something like that, it lifts their spirits and makes them understand that they are fighting for the right thing. You know, the community, you know, we've had our ups and downs in the communities. The company has put a lot of bad stuff out. They cut the tapes and changed the videos and you know, showed what they call violence on the picket line, and our people get down, you know, and get disheartened. But when someone comes by the rally and talks with them and stuff, it really lifts their spirits.
That's great, brother. So can you take us back to the very beginning and tell us a little bit what led the mine workers to take a strike vote and eventually go on strike?
Yeah, well, like I said, in 2015, the company that we worked for, Jim Walters, went bankrupt. And 2016, a company called Coal Acquisitions, what they did was they gave up their debt for the mines in Brookwood, which that at that time, I think Apollo and some other hedge funds were involved in, you know, taking those mines over. Well, when they did, they negotiated a contract that was, these people took a major cut in their wages, you know, as much as $6 an hour. They took a cut in their benefits. They took a cut in their, you know, holidays, their time off. And, but they did it with a promise that, hey, you make us profitable and we will change that in the future. And so, you know, everybody said, yeah, we'll do this to keep these companies running, because they was, you know, they've been working there. Some of them been working there for years at these mines, and they wanted to keep them going. And so when it came time for this contract in April, those promises were not being fulfilled. You know, they still wanted to have the people, the control of the people. They've got an absentee policy that is unbelievable. That you cannot even be off sick without them counting a strike against you, and 4 strikes and you're fired. So they was, you know, we're just trying to get it where the people can, you know, get the benefits that they used to have, not something extra. We just, you know, if a man's sick, he should be able to be at home sick. If his family's sick, he should be able to take a day or something and spend time with his family, his child or his wife, or, you know, a loved one that's possibly, you know, looking like they might not be here much longer. You know, you should be able to do that. And with this company, you can't. They don't want you to take holidays. They tell the public that, yeah, we give holidays, but what they don't tell them is that they only give 3 holidays. That's Thanksgiving, Christmas Eve, and Christmas Day. Those holidays you're allowed to take off. The other holidays, you work the holiday and then you take off if they tell you can another day. Well, that doesn't make sense because your family's off on the holiday. And so that's what a holiday's for, is to be off with your family and to spend time with your family, not 2 or 3 days later eating the barbecue that they cooked on the holiday. But you know, that's and the way the company treated the men and the women down there. They treated them like they wasn't nothing, you know, and they was told that in some of the meetings that the companies had. They told them that they wasn't worth what they was getting, so they sure wasn't getting a lot of raises and stuff. You know, they might not have said it in those course of words, but that's what they said. And then later on in negotiations, you know, they even said, you know, hey, look, we can afford to pay them. We're just not going to pay them. And so, you know, those kind of things is what caused these men and women to go on strike. And it was a very, very strong vote that said, hey, we're not tolerating this, because we took the company's offer of a contract back to them, and they voted that contract down 95% to 5. And that's a pretty strong message. The other day in the Senate hearings, Tommy Tuberville mentioned that there was 9 contracts offered, and he doesn't know what he's talking about, because there was 9 contracts offered, 9 contracts that had been voted down 95% to 5. And it doesn't make sense to take back contracts that's already been voted down. And you know, but that's the type of people we're dealing with. And not to get too far off the subject, but one of the problems I got with Tommy Tuberville is he went and listened to the company, but he has never came down here and listened to the people. He has not made the first offer to call me or to come to these picket lines and listen to the people that vote for him and put him in office. And, you know, and then he's got the gall to stand or to sit in a hearing and make the statements that he made in a hearing. He don't need to be up there representing us.
So for folks paying attention, Tommy Tuberville is the junior senator of Alabama and former very mediocre football coach at Auburn University. And you're saying that since he's been elected, you've had no conversations with him, even though he seems to have a lot of opinions on your strike.
That's correct, and I've attempted to call him. When he was running for office, he gave me a phone number of what he said was his personal phone number, and he said, "I will never cut this phone off." He said, "This is my personal phone, and this will be my phone number for now on." Well, it's not. I've tried a couple of times, and it says that this phone number has been changed. Now, you know, he could at least get in touch with the leaders of the union and say, what can we do to solve this strike? He's supporting a company. Now, he's the junior senator for Alabama, and he's supporting a company and saying, let's get America back to work. And they're hiring people from West Virginia, Kentucky, Illinois, Pennsylvania. They're hiring from all over the United States. And we've got people that's in Alabama that's on strike that can do those jobs. And he's saying that, you know, hey, let's get America back to work. Let's get these Alabama guys back to work.
That's right. Brother, tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get involved in the labor movement? I see, you've been involved with the mine workers, and you've been chairman on damn near every committee they have. What led you to getting involved with the mine workers?
Well, I started in the mine in 1980. My daddy worked in the mines, and before that, he worked in the paper mill, in a union paper mill. And so I grew up union, and I started in 1980 and worked until 1989. And I saw some things that was going on that I felt like, I couldn't complain about them if I didn't, make myself available to try to change it. So I ran for office back in 1989 and was elected to several, like you said, several offices, mine committee, vice president, compact committee, organizing committee. I served on just about all of them. And I stayed with the local up until 2005, and I had an opportunity to come and work in the district office. And I worked on lost time for a little while, and then ran for a district rep job. And I won it and stayed as a district rep until 2017. And my vice president at that time, Darrell Dewberry, retired, and I moved into the vice president job, and that's where I'm at now, and hope to be here for a while.
Good. Yeah, we hope you're around too. Tell us, for folks out there, a lot of folks are contributing. We've got donations rolling in, but in addition to contributing to the strike fund, what can workers and community members, union members and non-union members from around the country, what can we do to help the UMWA win this strike?
Well, showing the solidarity is a major part of it. But, not just the money that is coming in to help these strikers. Hayden Wright, and she has auxiliary that is helping with some food pantries and stuff. There's actually two separate auxiliaries. The one that she runs is local 2368 and 2245, and then we have another auxiliary that is 2397 and 2427, but they work together to collect food and to try to cook a little bit for the striking miners on the rallies, and just try to lift their spirits in that manner. And just about every week they are handing out sacks of food that helps the people through the week. And so that's a big thing. And just coming by the picket line and speaking to the guys, we don't have the typical picket line. Let me explain that a minute. Our picket lines, most people that's been on strike, there's one entrance that they have a picket line at. Well, at one time we had 14 picket lines, and they stretched over 140 miles. Each one of those picket lines was at an entrance of the mine, but that's how far it spread out, that we had to travel to put picketers at these picket lines. Now, the judge has us now where we can't have but just a few people on these picket lines, and so it's harder to set them up. But not only did he do that, he said, you can't have a car at the picket line. Now, so what we have to do now is drive them up there, put them out, but then we have to keep a car somewhere close in case there's a problem. We can get them off that picket line. And I assure you, we've had our own problems at these picket lines. These scabs have done things, pointed guns at us, run cars at us. They've done things that, you know, we have to make sure we have people close to keep them safe. So coming by and checking on people and just letting them know that you care, sending notes. We've got notes, and these notes mean a tremendous amount because we talk about them at the rallies, but we've got notes from other unions all over the world. We got notes from Walmart workers. We've got notes from Amazon workers. We've got, you know, just numerous cards just saying, you know, hey, we're supporting you. Hang in there. We stayed in close contact with the other strikes that was going on, like John Deere, Kellogg. All of those guys they call and check every once in a while and just, you know, see if there's something else that they can do. So, you know, doing things like that means a tremendous amount. And these Zoom meetings like this means a tremendous amount.
That's good, brother. One last question, and then I'll let you go. A lot of folks don't know, I was born about an hour and a half north of Brookwood, in a small town called Decatur. And I went to school in Birmingham and in Clanton and Vincent. I lived all around Alabama. So I'm going to ask you perhaps the most divisive question you're going to have. Roll Tide or War Eagle?
Roll Tide.
Right on, brother. Roll Tide. All right. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Vice President Larry Spencer. Everyone, remember, scan that QR code and donate all that you can. And as you heard from our brother, these donations are important. What's also important are these messages of solidarity. So send your notes, send your support. If you've got a union, talk to your executive board, talk to your union membership about the UMWA strike, and make sure your executive board, your leadership, make sure they all know, make sure your membership knows. It's important. And I know from just hearing the words of Larry Spencer, and I know from the work of Cecil Roberts and the work of Hayden and Braxton Wright, I know that when it comes your time, when you're on strike, when you're out on a picket line, no matter where you are in this country, in this world, if you reach out to the United Mine Workers down there in Alabama, they'll surely be there to support you, just like you've been here to support them. So keep those donations coming in, keep those messages of solidarity coming in, and take all this information that you hear and take it back to your membership and to your workplaces. Coming up now, our brother Larry Spencer talked a lot about the auxiliaries that are supporting the strike. So let's talk to our sister, Hayden Wright. She's been on the ground, making sure that in the course of this strike, people are fed, people are eating, people are able to feed their kids, and things like this. So welcome, Sister Hayden, and tell us a little bit about your work in Brookwood.
Hey, thank you, Cooper. I'm glad to be here tonight. I've been monitoring, looking on YouTube. It's wonderful to see everybody online and engaged with what's going on here in Brookwood. Just that support that I'm seeing there is incredible. Well, what we do in the auxiliary is really focus on the solidarity aspect of what's happening in the strike. Because when workers go on strike, it's not just the workers, it's the family. So a lot of the work that we've done outside of, like Larry Spencer was talking about, besides the pantry bags and feeding families and workers at the rallies, We've done a lot of things to actually help support the family itself. So we did a back to school bash for the students and kids. So they got backpacks and school supplies. Another big event that we did was Solidarity Santa. So we actually had members fill out Santa lists, Santa requests, and we actually made a registry online. And over 300 kids had Christmas, thanks to solidarity from other workers and other unions and from our union that stepped up and said, no, it's not okay for the children to go without on Christmas because their parents are fighting for workers. So that was incredible. And to follow that up, we actually had a big union event. We had people come down from New York to help out. We had people from international, and we actually served a holiday meal there with our families, and everyone got to sit down and eat together. We had people and retired union members come and actually do Christmas songs. We had the kids sing Christmas carols and make Christmas ornaments. We had a toy walk. So it's giving these families and these workers and these children these images that they'll never forget, because we made sure that they knew that these gifts and these things came from fellow workers, that people that don't know you, that have never met you, that have never been to Alabama, cared enough about your fight that they sent this to you. I myself have two children. I have a 7-year-old, Avery, and then I have a 1-year-old, Everly. So for Everly, her entire life has basically been on strike. And our kids have really have a huge connection because they're together so much. They're together at the rallies. They're together when we're working and making pantry bags, when we're doing pickups. Avery calls them her strike cousins because they're always together. And that's what a union is. Your union becomes your family. And we had that before, but the strike has really amplified that. That when you actually are up against an obstacle, when you're actually fighting a huge fight, that solidarity and unity and strength becomes even more important, not just for the workers, but for us, the spouses, the wives, the kids. They have other people that are going through that same experience, and that's huge. So I think for us, the biggest thing is we've been trying to amplify the message about what's going on here in Brookwood. Like, how did it affect us and the family structure working under that bankruptcy contract? Because like Larry said, when your spouse is only home, and that's, guys, if your spouse worked out shift, let me clarify that. That means they went into work at 11 o'clock or 7 o'clock on Christmas night, because that started the next day's shift. So for a lot of these guys, they weren't even actually getting that whole holiday with their families. So let's make that clear. So what that did was, as a family, you had memories that you were creating and pictures you were taking, and there was a member of your family gone. They were basically working 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. And for most people, they're driving 30 minutes to an hour to and from work. So they're gone 14 hours a day. They come home, they sleep, they go back to work. So your family, you were working to support them, but it was a family you never got to even see. And that was one thing Braxton brought up when we were in DC a few days ago at the hearing, was how many times that he had his child ask him, like, well, why can't you come to my game? Why can't you take me to do this? Why are you never at my school plays? Why are you never here? And to have to tell them over and over again, oh, I have to work. Well, children deserve to be able to have time with both parents. As workers, we deserve to have a work-life balance. We shouldn't be slaving every day and producing millions of dollars for these companies and these private equity groups that are taking it all back to New York as we're struggling to get by every day. We shouldn't be making the call that my child's in the hospital, but I'm just going to go ahead and take off work for my job because I know my spouse will be penalized more so than I will. That's cost people had to make every day. Do I even risk calling them because I know they're going to be punished? So what happened was, a lot of times they didn't even get a say-so in what was going on with their family or kids, because we had to take care of it. The company forced that. And when you're talking about a $6 an hour pay cut, on top of dropping our insurance to 80/20 with huge deductibles, you no longer had the ability for one spouse to stay home. Even though you now had your other partner working and gone 12 to 14 hours a day, you had to take on work too. So the children really suffered and our families suffered. We never had time to spend together. We had a huge amount of stress. So honestly, I know for my family, once they decided to strike, we thought it was past time.
Right on. Folks, remember, scan that QR code, drop money in the PayPal so that these folks can keep fighting. Sister, you mentioned going to DC. Tell us a little bit about that. Who invited you? What were you doing there? And how was your time there?
Braxton and myself went to DC at the request of Senator Bernie Sanders, who has been a huge labor supporter. He reached out and wanted to do a Senate budget hearing, budgets committee hearing about the strike and how private equity groups come in like vultures and they pick these companies that they know will be profitable. And they basically bleed them dry with no accountability for how these companies treat their workers, what they do to families and communities. So it's to bring awareness to that, because that's not just our fight. That's the fight for all workers right now, is these companies coming in and exploiting them for all their worth with no accountability. So we went there to that hearing to testify to that fact. This is what's happened to us, and this is what's happening to workers across the country, and this is not okay. So where we saw Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren come out in support of the workers. She talked about the Stop Wall Street Looting Act, which is huge. Then we had ones on the other side, like Representative Tuberville, which if any of you follow me on Twitter, you know I'm not a fan of his anyway, actually stood in the room. This is the part people didn't see. Before the hearing, while we were all talking to other senators and people were coming up and introducing themselves, he was there. Do you know he refused to make eye contact with any of us? He never came up and spoke, asked questions, tried to hear our side at all. It wasn't until after he gave his propaganda speech from the company that I would like to point out was literally taken pretty much from their facts page that they had a PR company put out, that he tried to walk up and shake Braxton's hand. And because I'm me, and when he walked up, I said, don't shake his hand. I didn't mean to say it as loudly as I did. Did I mean it? Yes. So, and then from there, we've seen him several times come out in support of companies, workers, but then turn around and talk about inflation. Well, how can he back private equity groups like BlackRock, Apollo, Vanguard, when they're the ones that own shares in all those companies? They're the ones exploiting the working class that way by increasing prices. So I think it was a productive hearing. I think it was good that it was put out there that that's happening to workers. I hate that the people that represent our state didn't even have the courtesy or time to actually speak to their constituents. They only spoke to a company that's sending their millions of dollars to other states like New York and then worldwide. So he doesn't represent us.
Yeah, it's always unfortunate when a senator or a representative won't listen to their own constituents. And you have to have senators from Vermont, from Massachusetts, even amplifying your voice and letting folks know that your struggle is even happening. So big disappointment there with Senator Tuberville, though about half the state expected a disappointment from him anyway. Let's bring in our brother Braxton as well into the conversation with us. Braxton, I believe you were there as well at the DC event. Tell us what was your experience testifying there, and what was that like?
It was different. It was speaking to a different audience, than normal. To say I was nervous is kind of an understatement, but I was glad that someone wanted to hear our story, and that someone, like y'all said, hated to. It was kind of someone from out of our state, trying to help us, and the people from our state, just kind of shunned us away like we were nothing. But yeah, I think it was a positive, overall meeting.
Good. Braxton and Hayden, have you, aside from Senator Sanders and Senator Warren, have you folks had any support from other politicians that want to support the mine workers?
Representative Chris England from Alabama Democrats, he's shown support throughout the strike. But really, he's about the only one, from our state that even wants to speak about it or talk to any of us.
Why do y'all think that is? Why is it that folks in Alabama aren't wanting to talk about it? Why is it the governor gotten involved? This has been going on for a year? This ties up the economy. We all know that the best thing you can do for an economy is to put money in the pockets of working people. Because then we're going to go and we're going to buy stuff for our kids, and we're going to take them out on the weekend, and we're going to take our spouses out to eat and things like this. So this has caused quite a disruption. Why do you think that that the governor or some of these other leaders around Alabama and around the South haven't gotten involved?
It seems like they support the companies instead of the workers. I mean, you've heard Kay Ivey say multiple times she's brought multiple jobs to the state, but you've yet to hear her say she's brought a career to the state. There's plenty of low-paying, poverty wage jobs that they're bringing in, but they're not bringing in a career that you can retire from, that you can raise a family from. I mean, a lot of these small jobs, if you work a full-time, a lot of these small jobs they're bringing in, you work full-time, you're still, available to draw food stamps. I mean, these are some of the low poverty jobs they're bringing in and putting in low poverty areas, just to get, I guess, exploit the workers even further. But it was kind of shocking to see that some of our Republicans in the state, has shown zero interest. And I think it's opened some people's eyes. I mean, I really think that a lot of things is going to change, that the way we do things, the way we think about things. We may need to do a lot more research into who we vote into different places, but hopefully this will open some eyes, to different, open the eyes for the working class. It's time for the working class to take control.
Right on, brother. So to either of you, if you knew that the Governor Ivey or Senator Tuberville were listening to you right now, and you knew they were going to do what you said they ought to do, what would that be? What could they do to better support the working class and you folks in particular?
They could fight to do away with the right to work state. We need to pass the PRO Act here in Alabama. The right to work for less and the right to work for little to nothing. I mean, it's not working. They give it a name that people, thought sounded good. And you've heard Tuberville lately speak about how the people in his right to work state doesn't want these unions. I don't know where he's getting it from. So he's not asking the workers of the state. I mean, if the companies are backing them, it's just tough.
Yeah, and I would add to that, here in Alabama, we have several bills going up now, not just right to work, which they actually voted in around 2016 as being actual a constitutional amendment here. So that means it actually has to go up with like a supermajority to ever be overturned. So it always had been established in Alabama for years, but that was a huge blow to unions and workers here in the state. Now, tonight, we had going forth in the House, HB2, which is what they're labeling, and this is Republican Treadway, labeled an anti-riot bill. In this bill, it classifies if you get caught picketing, walking across the road 2 times, it's a Class C felony. If you sit down and you peacefully protest, if you have a sit-in, that can be considered a felony. Any group of 5 people together that an officer, a police officer, a cop, says they think, not that you have, but they think that you might damage property or cause destruction to a person or property, you can actually be detained for 24 hours before you can even get any type of bond or bail set. I mean, this is huge. This is an attack not just on minorities, because that's what a lot of these people will use it for. It's an attack on workers in general. It stops your right to strike. It stops your right to unionize. It puts that fear that if you stand up and you fight for what's right, that someone could say that you were a threat and your life can be over. You can get a felony for that. That's what's going on today. So here in Alabama, I want people to realize that the labor struggle's alive. We have our strike. We have Amazon, which is going up for, re-election for their union vote. We have them passing these bills, and we have activists fighting against this that are fighting for the people. So I think a lot of times people try to give up on the South. And I know it's because of media, the way media portrays things. But we are fighting back. We are here. We are aware of what's going on. And we're not just fighting for us in Brookwood. We're fighting for all workers. Because if we have a union and this company and these equity groups are trying this with us, just think what they'll do to workers that don't have that protection at all. So we can't let this stand here. We can't stop fighting. And we're ready to keep going, whether we hit that year mark and whether we're here in 18 months. Warrior McCole has no soul, and the UMWA is not going anywhere.
Right on. It seems to me like the folks in power in Alabama surely could arrange a meeting, surely could sit down and arrange for mediation between the mine workers and the company if they wanted to. But it looks like what they're doing is trying to bring back the days of Bull Connor in Alabama and Birmingham, and trying to find ways that they can sick dogs and water hoses and things like this on striking mine workers who are just trying to feed their families. When surely, they could do a little bit of negotiating between the company and the workers. And it sounds like that's the thing that the workers would be open to. But it sounds like unfortunately, the folks in power out there in Alabama are not interested in leading. Sounds like they're interested in following along the company line. I want to say that you folks must have been inspiring some people, because we received a $5,000 contribution from the Chicago Federation of Labor. That's the biggest contribution we've had tonight. And so thank you to my good friend, President Bob Reeder out there in Chicago, and our dear brothers and sisters at the Chicago Federation of Labor. Before we move on, we got a little performance from our good friend and friend of the working class, Lee Baines. But before we move on, I want to ask you too that same divisive question I asked Larry Spencer: Roll Tide or War Eagle?
Roll Tide.
Sure, I'm indifferent, but Roll Tide. Just because I don't like Tuberville.
Right on. Thank you. Thank both of you.
Thank you.
Folks,
we appreciate everything you've done for us, Cooper.
Yeah, thank you. I'll be here as long as you need to. Folks, remember, scan that QR code, donate to these folks. This is the third event I've done for the United Mine Workers during this strike. And this is we did a 72-hour telethon that I was able to participate in. I was able to speak at the United Mine Workers, a rally right in front of BlackRock headquarters in New York City. And I'm very happy to be here raising more money and bringing more folks together in support of the United Mine Workers. So with that, I want to introduce our good friend of the working class. He's performed at many United Mine Worker events and rallies. Please enjoy this video from our brother, Lee Baines.
Hey y'all, I'm Lee Baines. It's good to be here with y'all. Thank y'all for having me. And just proud to be a part of it. And gonna do this song for all the UMWA locals that have been on strike for almost a year now around Tuscaloosa County. And we've done this song on the picket lines at the union halls. And I know a lot of people have sung it before us and a lot will sing it after. So thank y'all for standing up for workers' rights and all of us.
Come on, you good workers, tell you I'll tell how that good old union's coming here to dwell. So understand it? Living to the boss man's yoke. Will you be on last cab, or will you be full-grown folks? So which side are you on, y'all? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, y'all? Which side are you on? They say in the Blue Creek Basin, you get what you get. You either stand up, union strong, or bend over to a warrior man. So which side are you on, y'all? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, y'all? Which side are you on? Don't listen to the bosses. Don't listen to their lies. Us working folks hadn't got a chance unless we organize. So which side are you on, y'all? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, y'all? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, y'all? Which side are you on? Which side are you on, y'all? Which side are you on? Which side are you on? Power to the union.
All right, folks. Thank you, Lee Baines. Thank you, Patty Schaffner. Thank you, Hayden Wright. Thank you, Braxton Wright. Thank you, Vice President Larry Spencer. Thank you to the United Mine Workers. Thank you to People's World. Thank you to the Chicago Federation of Labor. Thank you to all of our co-sponsors and all of our donors. Folks, it really all boils down to that one question. That question that Lee Baines so eloquently put to music. Which side are you on? And it's a question we have to answer every single day. We have to answer it for ourselves, for our families, and for our community. Now, Warrior Met, like you heard Larry Spencer say, is recruiting strike breakers all over the country. They're in Pennsylvania, they're in West Virginia, they're in Ohio. They're trying to find folks to come cross that picket line. And they might come to you with lots of promises. They might offer you what sounds like good pay. They might offer you what sounds like good benefits. But at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, what side are you on? Are you on the side of the working class? Are you on the side of the people who want to feed their families? Are you on the side of the class that built everything you see? I mean, everything you see. You're sitting in a house right now, I promise you it was built by working class people. Your wiring was built by probably union electricians. Your plumbing done probably by union plumbers. Your carpentry done by union carpenters. From your houses to the schools, to the monuments, all the way back, all around the world, all the way back to the damn pyramids in Egypt and Mexico. It was working folks who built all that. Working folks who built the world. So are you on the side of the working folks? Are you on the side of the working class? The people who believe in solidarity. The people who believe that an injury to one is an injury to all. The people who would stick their neck out for you, who would break their back for you, who would gladly teach your child piano, who would gladly help you move on a Sunday in exchange for a six-pack and a handshake, who would gladly be there for you in a moment's notice. Are you on the side of the working class? Or are you on the side of the bosses? Are you on the side of the folks who want to say, you got to work every holiday except 3? And even then, you got to come in at 7, or you got to come in at 11 on Christmas. You have to leave your family to open presents on their own, to make memories on their own. Are you on the side of the people who built up these worst systems of exploitation? These people who say, oh, well, even if you're sick, I need you to come in. Even if you're dying, I need you to come in. Even if your family member died, or someone very close to you has died, even if you're in mourning, I need you to come in. Those folks who think that an hour of your time is only worth $7 an hour, is only worth $8 or $9 an hour. An hour of your time is only worth $10 an hour. that you working full-time is not worth enough money for you to feed your family, for you to pay your rent? Are you on the side of the folks who built society and keep society running and who believe in justice and solidarity? Or are you on the side of the folks who believe in exploitation, who believe in oppression, who believe that if you exercise your constitutional rights to form a union, your constitutional right to advocate for yourself, your constitutional right to walk off the job and walk a damn picket line, that if you do that, then you ought to have dogs sicked on you, you ought to have water hoses sicked on you, you ought to be called a felon, a criminal, and thrown in jail away from your family? Which side are you on? Now, I firmly believe if you made it through this long in the presentation, in the show tonight, then I believe you're on the side of the working class. But unfortunately, it's not enough just to believe you're on the side of the working class. We believe in principles and we believe in theories. But like the great brother behind me on my wall said, theory is great, but actions reign supreme. So if you believe you're on the side of the working class, we need you to donate to the United Mine Workers. We need you to send messages of solidarity to the United Mine Workers. We need you to spread the word about the struggle of the United Mine Workers to your workplace, to your community, to your church, to your athletic league, to anybody who will hear you. We need you to spread the message and the gospel of the United Mine Workers and their struggle for solidarity and justice. Because we firmly believe that an injury to one is an injury to all. And the only way they're going to win this strike is with all of our support, every single one of us. With that, I want to thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all for your messages of support. Thank you all for your donations. Have a great night. All power to the working class. Hasta la victoria siempre. Thank you.